General Lila Hayes, one of the most highly decorated black officers in the U.S. Air Force, approaches the airport counter with a purpose. Dressed casually, her military title is concealed, though her demeanor still commands respect. As she hands her ticket and ID to the attendant, she's met with a flicker of hesitation. The attendant's polite smile fades slightly, her gaze lingering on Lila in a way that feels all too familiar. As Lila waits, she's reminded of the countless times her authority and accomplishments were questioned simply because of her appearance. But today, she's not here to dwell on those thoughts. She's en route to a crucial international defense summit in Washington, where her expertise and influence are essential. However, the unsettling feeling that she's being judged begins to grow, a prelude to what is about to unfold. The attendant's scrutiny grows longer than necessary. "Are you sure this is your flight?" she asks, her tone laced with doubt. Lila's patience remains steady. She calmly reiterates her identity and mission, flashing her official military ID alongside her ticket. Yet, instead of a quick verification, the attendant calls over a colleague, whispering in hushed tones, her eyes darting towards Lila as if she's a potential threat. Lila clenches her jaw, accustomed to this kind of treatment. Her military rank should speak for itself, but here, stripped of her uniform, she's just another black woman facing suspicion. She takes a deep breath, knowing she has to remain composed. She's fought through years of systemic barriers and prejudice, and while it stings, she knows she cannot afford to lose her calm. Not here, not now. As minutes tick by, Lila watches as the line of waiting passengers grows. Frustrated whispers and side eyes from the crowd make her uncomfortable. She feels the weight of judgment from strangers who don't know her accomplishments or her mission. She's not just waiting to board, she's waiting to be acknowledged for who she is and the responsibilities she carries. One of the attendants returns, a young man named Robert, who examines her ID with a dismissive look. "This might take a while, ma'am. Please wait over there," he says, gesturing to a seating area as though she's causing an inconvenience. Lila takes a slow, deep breath, walking over with her head held high. She's endured worse, but each encounter feels like another chip at her dignity. Sitting down, Lila scans the terminal, watching as other passengers pass through security without issue. The unfairness of it all lingers in her mind, and the frustration is palpable. She's on an important mission, representing her country, but instead, she's being delayed by unfounded suspicion. Around her, she overhears whispers and speculation about why she's been pulled aside. The anxiety builds as she checks her watch. Every minute lost feels like a direct insult to her position, her duty, and her dignity. She rehearses her next words, preparing to once again assert her identity and importance. Lila knows she has no choice but to stay composed, even though she's boiling inside. Just as Lila considers approaching the counter again, she notices a few passengers taking an interest in her situation. A middle-aged woman and a young man approach the counter, quietly questioning the delay. They express sympathy and subtly criticize the attendant's handling of her situation, advocating for Lila without fully understanding her rank or purpose. This moment of solidarity surprises Lila and renews a bit of her faith in people. She's grateful for their intervention, knowing it could draw attention to the unnecessary scrutiny she's facing. But at the same time, she feels a pang of exhaustion, knowing that this solidarity won't erase the underlying prejudice she faces. Lila finally approaches the counter once more, her voice calm but firm. She asserts her rank and position, explaining that she's a general in the U.S. Air Force on her way to an urgent defense summit. The attendant looks taken aback, her gaze shifting as she realizes the weight of Lila's words. "I've given you my ID. I'm General Lila Hayes of the United States Air Force," she says clearly. Her words are met with uncomfortable silence from the attendant, who now seems to regret her earlier behavior. This time, Lila's patience is gone, replaced by a steely determination to be seen and respected for who she is. As tension escalates, a supervisor arrives, a man named Rick. His demeanor is cold and dismissive, and he regards Lila with the same skepticism as his subordinates. He glances briefly at her military ID, barely registering her title or authority. Lila notices the condescension in his expression, a familiar look that makes her stomach twist. "We just need to verify some things," Rick says dismissively, as though her credentials are questionable. Lila feels a wave of anger but keeps it under control. She knows that every word, every reaction could be used against her, so she stands tall, refusing to let her emotions show. The delay begins to draw attention from other travelers. Some passengers start filming, their phones capturing the standoff. Lila sees herself reflected in their lenses, not as a decorated Air Force general but as a black woman being held up at the airport for no apparent reason. The whispers grow louder. Strangers speculate about her real reason for being there, their judgment evident in every glance. Lila feels the weight of their assumptions pressing down on her. She's no stranger to scrutiny, but in this moment it feels more invasive than ever. As the situation continues to escalate, Lila feels the full weight of her role and responsibilities bearing down on her. She's here not just as General Hayes but as a representative of every woman, every black officer who has faced prejudice in uniform. She knows that how she handles this moment will resonate beyond this airport. Taking a deep breath, she addresses the supervisor directly. "I am General Lila Hayes. My presence at this summit is critical to national security. You're delaying a mission that's bigger than all of us." Her words are met with silence, the crowd around them hanging on every syllable. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the supervisor confirms her identity, his face turning red with embarrassment. He hands back her ID, mumbling an apology. Lila accepts it quietly, her pride bruised but intact. She glances around, noting the reactions of those who had watched, judged, and speculated. As she walks toward her gate, she can feel the shift in the atmosphere. She's no longer a subject of suspicion but of silent admiration. Yet, the damage is done. The sting of humiliation remains, a bitter reminder of the discrimination that shadows her achievements. When Lila finally boards the plane, the whispers follow her. Some passengers recognize her, now realizing who she is. She finds her first-class seat, sinking into it with a sense of relief, though the exhaustion remains. Her phone buzzes with notifications, friends and colleagues who witness the scene sending her messages of support and outrage. She takes a moment to breathe, centering herself for the summit ahead. But even as she tries to focus on her mission, the weight of the airport incident clings to her, a constant reminder of the barriers she faces, even as one of the highest-ranking officers in the Air Force. As the plane takes off, Lila receives a message from her superior, General Bennett, expressing shock and support for her ordeal. His words remind her of the loyalty and respect she's earned, a small comfort in the wake of the day's events. He assures her that the Air Force will stand by her, offering to address the incident publicly if she desires. Though grateful, Lila declines the offer, choosing to handle this quietly for now. She appreciates the support but doesn't want this incident to overshadow the summit. However, the support from General Bennett bolsters her resolve, reminding her of the trust placed in her. As the plane reaches cruising altitude, Lila settles back, trying to let go of the ordeal. But her phone continues to buzz with notifications. A viral video of her confrontation at the airport is circulating online, and people are reacting with a mix of outrage, disbelief, and judgment. Headlines flash across her screen, framing the situation as an example of discrimination. Lila feels her chest tighten. She didn't want this kind of attention, especially not on a day when her focus should be on the summit. Yet, here she is, forced to face a storm of public opinion. While she appreciates the support from those who see the truth, the criticism from others who don't understand the situation is draining. The viral nature of the incident has made her a symbol, a role she feels unprepared for in this moment. In the midst of her notifications, a call from her longtime friend and fellow officer, Colonel Angela Rogers, brings some solace. Angela, who has been by Lila's side through numerous challenges in the military, offers words of encouragement. "You've overcome more than this," she reminds Lila, her voice steady and comforting. "This too shall pass, and you'll keep doing the work that matters." Lila smiles, grateful for Angela's words. They reminisce about shared struggles and victories, and Angela's support brings a sense of perspective. The conversation reminds Lila that she's not alone, that her journey is shared by other officers facing similar challenges. Angela's unwavering faith in her lifts Lila's spirits, if only for a moment. When the plane touches down in Washington, D.C., Lila braces herself. She knows the media will be waiting, hungry for a statement. As she steps off the plane, she's greeted by a crowd of journalists, cameras flashing and microphones thrust toward her. She expected this, but the intensity is overwhelming. Ignoring the questions thrown her way, she heads for her transport, where an Air Force liaison awaits to take her to the summit venue. The journey through the airport feels like a gauntlet, the weight of public scrutiny following her every step. Despite the distractions, she steels herself, reminding herself of the purpose behind her trip. At the summit, Lila is surrounded by generals, ambassadors, and leaders from around the world. She takes her seat at the large conference table, ready to discuss crucial defense strategies. Her mind momentarily drifts back to the airport incident, but she quickly refocuses, knowing the importance of the discussions at hand. The first day of the summit is intense, with debates on global security and emerging threats. Lila contributes her insights with the calm authority she's known for, her words resonating with those around her. For a while, she's able to forget the public spectacle and immerse herself in the work that defines her life's mission. After the day's sessions, Lila finds herself alone in her hotel room. She checks her phone again, finding new articles and comments about the airport incident. She sighs, feeling a sense of exhaustion beyond the usual post-summit fatigue. It's not just the summit that's wearing her down, it's the constant pressure of being under scrutiny. She scrolls through supportive messages from colleagues, friends, and strangers who understand the challenges she faces. But amid the positive words, she also sees comments questioning her qualifications and her rank. Even though she's proven herself countless times, Lila is reminded of the ever-present undercurrent of doubt that shadows her achievements. The next morning, Lila takes a moment to process her emotions. She's angry, frustrated, and hurt, but she's also resolved. She has faced so many battles, both visible and invisible, on her path to becoming a general. This experience at the airport is just another chapter in her journey, another example of how much more work needs to be done to break down societal biases. Lila resolves to channel her frustration into something productive. She knows her voice is powerful, and she decides to use this experience to advocate for change, not just for herself, but for others who face similar struggles. This isn't just her fight, it's a fight for every person who's ever had their competence questioned because of their background. Later that day, Lila is approached by General Samuels, a high-ranking officer who had been following the news coverage of her airport incident. He offers his support, commending her for her composure and resilience. "You've shown more patience and strength than many could muster, General Hayes," he tells her, his tone filled with genuine admiration. Lila feels a wave of gratitude. General Samuels is a respected leader in the military, and his words remind her that she has allies in high places. This unplanned conversation reaffirms her belief that she's on the right path, and that her presence at the summit is not just a duty, but a statement in itself. As the summit continues, Lila reflects on the burden she carries, not just as a military leader, but as a black woman in a predominantly white and male field. She knows her achievements are scrutinized more closely, her mistakes judged more harshly. Every day, she feels the pressure to represent her race and gender with unwavering perfection. But Lila also recognizes that her presence in these spaces is meaningful. She knows that by occupying this position, she's opening doors for others to follow. She's blazing a trail, and despite the hardships, she's determined to make it easier for those who come after her. Her resolve strengthens as she realizes that her impact goes far beyond her individual achievements. During a break at the summit, Lila's liaison informs her that the Air Force Public Affairs Office has received numerous inquiries about the airport incident. Public opinion is divided. While many support her, some are questioning her need for special treatment. Lila sighs, knowing the complexities of public perception all too well. Though tempted to ignore the noise, she decides it's time to confront the narrative. She prepares a statement, focusing on the broader issue of respect and fairness, rather than personal grievances. She wants her message to go beyond herself, to highlight the systemic biases that people like her face daily. Her goal is not to gain sympathy but to spark awareness and change. Lila's statement goes live, and within hours, it's picked up by major news outlets. In it, she shares her experiences at the airport, framing it as an example of the racial and gender bias that still permeates society. "I've dedicated my life to serving this country," she writes, "and I believe that service deserves respect, regardless of how I look or what I wear." The statement resonates with many, prompting conversations on social media about prejudice and bias. Lila's words strike a chord, especially with those who have faced similar treatment. Though nervous about the attention, she's proud that her message is reaching people, creating ripples of awareness across the nation. Following her statement, Lila receives a call from a well-known civil rights organization offering their support. They thank her for her bravery and invite her to participate in a discussion on systemic discrimination in professional fields. Though initially hesitant, Lila agrees, recognizing the potential to make a difference beyond her military duties. She knows her story can inspire change, and this opportunity gives her a new platform to advocate for fairness and respect. The invitation marks a turning point, expanding her role from a military leader to a public advocate for equality. Her journey is no longer just about defending her rank, it's about defending the rights of everyone who faces discrimination. With each passing day, Lila's resolve grows stronger. The airport incident has left her scarred, but it's also opened her eyes to the power of her voice. She realizes that her influence extends beyond the Air Force and that she can be a catalyst for change on a broader scale. At the end of the summit, Lila leaves Washington, D.C., not just as a decorated general, but as a beacon of resilience and strength for those who need it. The journey has taken its toll, but she is determined to keep pushing forward, using her experiences to challenge and dismantle the biases that she, and so many others, have faced. Back at her Air Force base, Lila is welcomed with open arms by her team. Her fellow officers, airmen, and staff greet her with nods of respect, some even stopping to offer words of encouragement. It's clear that news of her ordeal has spread, and many of them see her as a symbol of resilience and leadership in the face of adversity. For Lila, being back among her team feels grounding. The base is where she's put in years of hard work, trained with discipline, and earned the respect of those around her. Here, her rank is unquestioned, her competence respected. She realizes how much the support of her colleagues means to her and finds strength in their solidarity. After her experience, Lila feels a renewed sense of responsibility towards young officers, particularly women and minorities. She organizes a mentorship meeting, inviting those who might be struggling with similar challenges. Her goal is to create a space where they can talk openly, support one another, and gain insights into handling adversity. During the meeting, Lila shares her story not as a complaint, but as an example of the challenges that come with being a minority in positions of power. She encourages her men to keep pushing forward, to stay true to themselves, and to lean on their fellow service members for support. The young officers listen intently, and some even share their own experiences, grateful for a space where they feel understood. Not long after her return, Lila is called into the office of her commanding officer, General Mark Winters. She's unsure of what to expect, but General Winters welcomes her with a proud smile. He hands her a letter of commendation, honoring her professionalism and strength in the face of public scrutiny. "This is just a small token, Lila," he says, looking her in the eyes. "But it's important to recognize what you've endured and how you handled it with grace. You've shown the world what true leadership looks like." His words leave her momentarily speechless, and she feels a surge of pride and gratitude. That evening, Lila takes a moment alone to reflect on her journey. She thinks back to her younger days, the determination she had when she first joined the Air Force, and the obstacles she's overcome to reach her position. She realizes that her journey has shaped her into a leader not just in the military, but in life. The airport incident was a painful reminder of the biases that still exist, but it has also been an opportunity for growth. Lila recognizes that her story is now part of a larger narrative, one that speaks to the resilience of those who break barriers and the importance of standing firm in the face of adversity. Word of Lila's experience spreads within the military community, inspiring conversations about equality and respect. Other officers who have faced similar challenges reach out to her, sharing their stories and expressing gratitude for her bravery. They see her as a trailblazer, someone who is willing to confront injustice head-on. Her story sparks discussions among high-ranking officials who begin to examine the culture within the military more closely. Lila's experience becomes a catalyst for change, encouraging the Air Force to reassess training programs, policies, and awareness initiatives aimed at fostering a more inclusive environment for all service members. As Lila's story gains traction, media outlets cover it widely, bringing national attention to the issue of racial and gender bias. Journalists praise her resilience, and commentators highlight the challenges faced by minorities in leadership positions. Her story resonates with the public, sparking debates and calls for action against discrimination. Though not all reactions are positive, Lila remains focused on the bigger picture. She's encouraged by the overwhelming support and the shift in public discourse. The attention on her story helps shine a light on the silent struggles of countless others who lack her platform, giving them hope that their voices, too, will be heard. Lila receives an invitation to meet with leaders of a prominent civil rights organization. They express their admiration for her courage and invite her to speak at an upcoming conference. Though initially hesitant, Lila realizes that this is an opportunity to advocate for systemic change beyond the military. At the conference, she speaks about her journey, addressing the biases she's faced and the importance of equality. Her speech is powerful, drawing a standing ovation from the audience. She feels a deep sense of purpose, knowing that her story is making a difference, that her voice is amplifying the call for justice. One evening, Lila receives an email from Robert, the airport supervisor who had doubted her identity. In his message, he expresses regret for his behavior, acknowledging the biases that clouded his judgment. "I've reflected on my actions," he writes, "and I realize how wrong I was. I'm truly sorry for the way I treated you." Though surprised, Lila appreciates the apology. She knows that change often starts with self-awareness, and she hopes that Robert's newfound understanding will help him treat others with the respect they deserve. It's a small victory, but one that signifies the impact of her story on an individual level. Inspired by the support she's received, Lila decides to reach out to high school students who are interested in military careers. She visits a local school, where she meets with young men and women, many of whom look up to her as a role model. She speaks openly about her journey, her challenges, and the rewards of serving in the Air Force. The students listen intently, and Lila feels a renewed sense of purpose. Her story has the power to inspire the next generation, to encourage them to pursue their dreams with confidence, regardless of the obstacles they may face. For Lila, this is one of the most rewarding aspects of her journey. In recognition of her strength and contributions, the Air Force bestows a special honor upon Lila. At a formal ceremony, she is awarded a medal for exemplary leadership and resilience. Her commanding officers, colleagues, and family are in attendance, applauding her accomplishments and her dedication. As she accepts the medal, Lila feels a sense of fulfillment and pride. The journey has been difficult, but moments like this remind her that every challenge has been worth it. She stands tall, knowing that she has not only earned the respect of her peers but has also become a symbol of courage for others. Inspired by Lila's story, a movement begins to grow, calling for accountability and fairness in institutions across the country. Organizations within and outside the military adopt new policies aimed at addressing implicit biases and fostering diversity. Lila's experience serves as a rallying point, inspiring others to stand up against injustice. The changes are gradual, but Lila feels a sense of hope as she witnesses the impact of her story. She realizes that her journey has transcended her personal experience, becoming part of a collective push for progress. Knowing that her story has sparked change gives her a profound sense of purpose. After months of intense public attention and advocacy, Lila takes some time to reconnect with her family. She visits her parents, who have always been her biggest supporters. They reminisce about her early days in the Air Force and express their pride in how she's handled the challenges she's faced. The visit brings Lila a sense of peace and grounding. She's reminded of the values her family instilled in her: resilience, integrity, and compassion. Her parents' unwavering support strengthens her resolve to keep fighting for what's right, both for herself and for those who look up to her. One evening, Lila sits alone in her office, reflecting on everything that has transpired. She thinks about the weight of the scrutiny, the criticism, and the admiration. She realizes that, while the journey has been difficult, it has also been transformative. She has emerged stronger, with a clearer sense of her purpose. She knows that she will continue to face challenges, but she is no longer intimidated. Lila is determined to use her position and her voice to advocate for equality, justice, and respect. She understands that her journey is far from over, but she's ready for whatever lies ahead. As Lila continues her career, she becomes a mentor, a leader, and an advocate for change. Her story inspires others within the Air Force and beyond, serving as a reminder that resilience and integrity are powerful tools in the fight against prejudice. She knows that her legacy is not just about her accomplishments, but about the doors she's opened for others. She feels a deep sense of pride, knowing that her journey has paved the way for future generations. Through her advocacy and her actions, she has become a force for change, challenging the status quo and inspiring those around her to be better. Lila writes an op-ed, sharing her story with a wider audience. In her article, she speaks about the importance of empathy, understanding, and the need to challenge biases. She calls on readers to reflect on their own assumptions and to commit to building a more inclusive society. Her words resonate with people around the world, sparking conversations and inspiring readers to confront their own prejudices. Through her message, Lila reaches beyond her military role, becoming a voice for equality and respect on a global scale. Lila's journey has been one of resilience, strength, and transformation. She has faced prejudice, overcome challenges, and emerged as a powerful advocate for change. As she looks back on everything she's accomplished, she feels a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. Her story is a testament to the power of integrity and courage. She knows that her work is far from finished, but she is confident that she has left a lasting impact. With every step forward, Lila carries the hopes and dreams of those who look up to her, determined to continue fighting for a world where everyone is treated with the respect they deserve.